Hi, this will be a video on how to move a scout from one unit to another unit inside Scoutbook, and to make sure that all of his records move with him. Now, this will move him inside of Scoutbook. It is not an official moving of council records, so he still needs to fill out applications. You need to move him or her on the council record from one unit to another, either a pack to a troop, or a pack to a pack, or a troop to a troop. But this will move him or her inside of Scoutbook. So this is the process how you move the record inside of Scoutbook. So to be able to move the record, you need to have full control of the scout. So anybody with full control of the scout can do this. And what you do is you go into the scout's record. You can go to the scout in Scoutbook, click on their name. And in their record, the first thing you want to do is you want to remove the connections of all the adults in the old unit except for you. So once the paperwork's gone, once the scout has moved, what you want to do is you want to remove all the adult connections in the unit you are currently in. Now, before you do that, make sure all of the advancements are recorded in the current unit, and that all leadership positions that the scout has have been ended. And the way you can check on leadership positions is to click on their leadership positions and make sure if there's any that are on this page that are marked active, that you end them. You put an end date in. So make sure their leadership positions are ended and that all of the connections are closed from the adults that have connections to them. Well, how do you do that? You go to their one way is to go to the Scouts Connections from their page. You go to their the Scouts Connections, and you click on the name, and you remove the connection. So on down the bottom it says delete connection. You simply delete it, and it removes that adult's connection from the Scout. So you want to do that for all the adults except for you. You want to leave your connection there. After you've removed the current positions, the current connections from all the other adult leaders except yourself, what you want to do is you want to invite the Scoutbook administrator from the unit that he's going into. So to do that, you still do it from their connections page. You click add, and you search for the name of the person that you want to give rights to. And then as you're typing the name in, it does a search. You find that person and you give them full permission to the scout. That way they have full rights. You can mark them as an adult leader, and then you send the invite. And then they on the other side will accept the invite, and then that will give them the connectivity to the Scout's record, so that once they get to the other unit, once you move the record to the other unit, they can accept the record and accept the Scout. So you've done that. You've cleaned up your connections, and you've invited the unit administrator for the other unit, the Scoutbook unit administrator for the other unit. Then what you do is you go into the Scout's record, and you go into their membership area. So again, you're back at the Scouts page where you click on the Scout's name. You go into their membership area. You want to end their current membership in your pack, troop, your unit, and then unclick position approved and select update. That will then close their membership in your unit. You see here past memberships. That's been closed. And now you want to open the membership in the new unit. This will put his record in the roster of the new unit. So you identify the new unit, and it can be a different council than what your council is. You pick the council. You pick the unit type. You type in the number of the unit. You select from the unit from the drop-down menu. If you know the patrol he's going into, let's say he's going into a troop with a patrol or a den of a pack, if you know which one it is, you can select it. Otherwise, this is optional. It's an optional field. You can leave it blank. And then you put a start date. It's normally going to be the day that you do it. And then you click Update. Now that moves him to the other unit as a scout in the other unit. So now he's had been moved from a Cub Scout unit to a Boy Scout unit in this example, and now he's in the other unit. So you can call the unit administrator, Scoutbook unit administrator of the other unit, and say, okay, the boy, I moved the boy to the other side. You should be able to see him. One thing I want to show you before I show you what it looks like from the receiving unit's end is that once you move him to the other unit, as long as you have a connection to him, when you look at your dashboard, you will see not only your unit, but also the unit you moved him into. So you'll see the other unit. And if you click on that, you will actually see the scout in the other unit. Every other scout you will not have access to. You'll see their first name and last initial. And when you click on it, you'll get an error that says that you don't have connections to them. That's for youth protection reasons. But for the scout that you had moved over there, you still have full connectivity to, so that you could move him back to your unit if for some reason you needed to. That's until you delete your connection to the scout, which you will do once the other unit tells you that they have taken control. The other unit as well can remove your connection to the scout once they've taken over the control of the scout. Okay, so let's go in as that other unit. So I'll log out of your account and I'll log in as the other unit person. So I'll go into his dashboard and I will select the unit that you move the scout into. All right, so the scout is now in the bird patrol of Troop 71. He went from a Cub Scout pack to Troop 71. And if we look at the bird patrol, you will see the scout in that patrol. There he is. And now I can take that scout and I can go in and make sure, go into his membership. I have to make sure that green shield is there, which means that he's approved in the unit. If it's not there, I click on that membership area and I click this position approved checkbox, and then I update it, and that makes sure that then it's an approved position. Once I have an approved position for the scout, when I click on the scout's name, I am prompted to sync the scout. So now I can sync him, I can get him in the youth advancement sync, and as soon as the council has processed the application on the other end, I will get an error until that's happening that the sync has failed because he's not registered in the unit, or I don't have a member ID for him. But if we moved him and he had a member ID before, he'll have a member ID now. If he doesn't have a member ID, you click on Edit Profile and you call the council, or the council notifies you what the new member ID is, and then you just put it in the member ID field of the of the profile. But if he had one in the previous unit, he'll have one, because when he's moved, it'll come over with him. All of his advancements that were in the previous unit are in the new unit. And if he was a Cub Scout moved to a Boy Scout and he had Arrow of Light, the Arrow of Light shows up as one of those badges that a Boy Scout can wear on his uniform. Once the new unit has received him, what they need to do is they need to make sure that all the adults that need connectivity to the unit, to the Scout, have connectivity to the Scout. Now, there are two ways they can do that. One way is to go into the connections box and to add, like we did before, add the connections, add the leaders that you want connected to the Scout one at a time. Another way of doing it is to go into the troop roster. You go into the troop or the unit roster for the new unit, and go down to the bottom, and you'll see something called Connections Manager. You click on that, and what will come up is a matrix that has dots on it and Scout's name. So you need to find the Scout that you moved into your unit, and then underneath the Scout's name, you can put a dot. You can put associate the amount of control that you want for the adult to have over the Scout. So you can give them full control, or you can say, well, I want them just to edit advancement, or I want them to just be able to edit the profile, view advancement, or just view profile, or give them full control. So you can set the permissions, and the dots come in based upon what permissions you've given them. And you can do that for every adult that you want connected to the Scout. So you would do that for the adults that you want connected to the Scout. So you can, that's another way of giving adults control over the Scout that's there. If somebody is coming up, like Amy Test, Amy is one of the people in the pack that had control of the Scout. And I can take that control away now as on the troop side by just going in and clicking and removing the positions. So that's a way of removing those pack permissions. Chris was another one that the Scout had. I can go in the pack and I can remove those adults. Once you've removed all permissions for any pack person that might show up, those names of the pack people will no longer show up in your troop Connections Manager page. And also the troop will no longer show up in their dashboard. So that's the way of removing all the connectivity from the other person. Once you've done that, and now he's fully a member of your unit, you can just go ahead and approve advancements and work with him like you would any other Scout. So that's how you move a Scout from one unit to another unit inside of Scoutbook.